Hey guys, welcome back. Today we are joined by personal trainer and hybrid athlete Georgie Bullock. She is a five-time podium finisher in Hyrox and shares her experiences, knowledge, and endless enthusiasm online to bring others along on a fitness journey. Encouraging women to enjoy what your body can do, not just what it looks like, is a key theme of Georgie's Instagram and one that resonates hugely with us. So we are absolutely delighted to get you on the podcast, Georgie. Thank you so much for making the time to speak to us today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited for this episode. I think we kind of just touched on it. We were chatting a bit before we got started, and like we love the way that everything's going with people not putting themselves in a box and like hybrid athletes. And I feel like you are definitely one of these. I mean, you just took on the big half in London. You've also done many other challenges, but just maybe your thoughts on hybrid life and what you're focusing on at the moment and where things are going.
No, definitely. I absolutely love that everyone's trying a range of things at the moment, and hybrid is that. Like hybrid can go a little bit more into the endurance side of things as well, for sure. But I think it is a mixture of principles of training, which is the most enjoyable thing. I think if you can try a vast amount of principles of training, whether that's running, functional fitness, CrossFit, throw a few random ultras in now and then, you're gonna reap the benefits of it and find the most amount of enjoyment. So I would encourage anyone to do a range of training. And it's definitely the route that I'm taking. Sometimes you have to be a bit more tactical with throwing a random marathon and stuff in there, for sure. But I think, if opportunities come your way and if you can get a ticket nowadays, because it seems like winning the lottery, I would run with it. I would go with it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like for anything, isn't it? I think you just said about the big half, and you tried to get tickets for it, didn't you? And you're like, oh damn, I can't get a ticket for it. So you are right. When you get a ticket, and for High Rocks at the moment, I mean, it's just absolutely mental. You should just, yeah, go with it, give it a go, even if you don't feel fully ready. Just
Yeah,
go and have the experience.
I think that's the thing. Sometimes I think you perform a little bit better when you haven't had, so much time to think about it. Preparation's key, but I think when you get given an opportunity, sometimes it's your body can react a little bit better because you haven't put so much pressure on it. There's been moments in my Hyrox career where I've thought, right, I've got X amount of months now to train for something. And you think you're in the best position possible and you go in and, the execution might not always be or the outcome might not always be what you want from it. So I think, if you get given an opportunity, run with it.
Yeah, for sure. And what about your start of your journey as a hybrid athlete, or even just an athlete in general? Like, did you begin with running or CrossFit, or how did you get into this space and then becoming a coach as well?
Yeah, so I mean, not to have you here for hours and hours on it. I'll try and keep it short. So I've always been a sporty kid. I was always that kid that would be doing netball, athletics, basketball, swimming. And I think being born and brought up in Dubai in that climate, it was kind of encouraged to do all the sports and be outside, which I'm really happy that that was the case, because I was able to transfer that into my later years. I think in terms of the reason why I'm now in this space is due to the fact that I went through an eating disorder when I was younger, and that's something that I have overcome, which I'm really, really grateful for, and now encourage women to essentially figure out what it is that their bodies can do, rather than just how they look or the number on the scales. We're far beyond that. So I'd rather be chasing times and numbers for running than on the scale. So that's what I'm trying to encourage. Now, in terms of my career with hybrid training or Hyrox, I've always been a runner as well. That's kind of like the foundation of my hybrid career in that sense, and it's something that I always wanted to try and improve upon. And when Hyrox became a thing and there was another principle added in, I thought, this is great. The reason why I actually ever got into Hyrox is because one of my best friends, Georgie, at the time was about to do a women's double with her friend, and she dropped out and the ticket became available. And I was like, right, I'm in, let's go for it. Very much was shocked with actually the intensity of my first ever Hyrox. I thought, you know what? Yeah, 8K, that's fine. We can run 8K. We can't run 8K and push sleds. So yeah, it was a whole different ball game. But I loved the competitiveness, and I think I've always had that competitive drive. And it was something that I wasn't good at, and I wanted to try and get better and better at it. And I kind of liked that challenge. So went down more of the solo route, and since then have kind of just taken on as many opportunities as I can within the space. And I've got a mixed doubles coming up for the first time in Birmingham. So yeah, trying to also talking about not putting myself in a box, not just being a solo athlete. If opportunities do come around and I can run a really fast race with a guy in the mixed doubles, like I'm going to take it. So yeah, I like to challenge what my body can do.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's something that resonates with us. And I mean, we were even talking in the car on the way back from the Cairo today, just to come and do this podcast about our like big message, I guess, is trying to encourage women to like see what they can do rather than a number on the scale or what they look like. And there's so much pressure on females that I think that's why we're so passionate about this podcast and speaking to different people that are doing like incredible things or spreading a message that's so important. And just like the generation, like to be a good like role model for the next generation. Like we were talking about our nieces and how we want them to grow up and not be, you know, standing on a scale or thinking I have to look like this, but actually going, oh, I saw Georgie do this the other day and she like smashed this half marathon and now she's gone and she's doing this mixed doubles and then she's doing an ultra next year. And like that's the message that we want to get across to like our nieces and the next generation of females coming up.
100%. And I think if you looked at, you know, any sport, but Hyrox, let's take Hyrox specifically, and you look at the elite 15 women alone, everyone is in everyone's different heights, different body shapes, where we're all so unique. They're like the best of the best, and they're not clones of each other. They're far from it. And I think if you just look at those women as a whole, that kind of reflects that it's got nothing to do with how you look, and it's actually got everything to do with the effort and time and energy and dedication that you put into training that is going to get you the results or the desired results. So yeah, I think having women within the space that aren't just a repeat or a clone of one another is really, really important. And I think that's why having a sport that focuses on performance is key. There's always going to be sports that are a little bit more aesthetic driven, whether that be gymnastics or, you know, feeding into those more body focused sports. But I just love what hybrid and Hyrox brings because everyone's unique.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you mind talking a little bit more about like recovering from the eating disorder and how you managed to change your mindset, like to fuel for performance and to take on the like right food and supplements? If anyone was listening and they are like struggling at the moment, is there any kind of key bits of advice that you could try and help them with?
Yeah, I think it actually helped, to be honest, being a sportier kid, because it was always something that I had like a pull towards, that I love to do. It was a real love to be able to move my body. And I think, unfortunately, going through that period of life where you hit 15, 16, 17 and life gets a little bit more tough when you're a girl, I kind of misused or abused the opportunity to be able to move my body. And I think it was kind of reconnecting with, actually, if I love this and I want to go and do it and I want to actually be better at it, I need to give back and I need to be able to fuel my body well. So I think I'd start with always reconnecting with why you want to do something. I think that's what I tell most of my clients is, you know, what's your why? Is it you just want to lose weight? Okay, but why? Like, do you want to feel great in your body? Okay, but why? Do you want your relationship to be better? Do you want to go and enjoy social events with having to worry about what you look like? I think there's always a point that you need to reconnect with first. And then in terms of fueling and making sure that you are actually giving back to your body, just start small. I think if anyone is at this point now where they are really struggling, try not to take too much on at once. Really focus on actually you and replenishing, rather than taking on potentially too many challenges at once and going, okay, I'm just going to start doing a Hyrox and start doing, you know, ultra marathons. Actually go back to basics and recognize, you know, am I feeling better from fueling because I've got more energy? Or on that run, let's at least test out taking potentially one gel with us, and maybe we'd hit those targets that we never thought that we could hit, but because we had 20 more grams of carbs, wow, it's a whole different ball game. So I would be willing to test things out as much as possible. And I know that's a scary position to be in, because we all love our points of control and we've all made these rules for ourselves where, you know, that worked for us once, but it's clearly not serving us now. So I think there has to be that willingness to reconnect and that willingness to kind of challenge behaviors that potentially aren't serving us. And I hope that explains a few things, in like more of a broad sense.
Yeah, no, totally. I think, and just in general, I think trying things out is such a great thing, whether it is with your fueling or maybe what time of day you train, or maybe trying to have that half a banana before you do a session, or like, and then, you know, if a banana and a bagel's too much, like doing little things and like testing stuff, because everyone is different, and we all, like me and Faye, you know, we live together and we eat differently. Like I probably eat like a lot extra snacks because my body needs it. Like I need the fuel, and I take on a lot more stuff like during sessions, but it's just everyone's individual, isn't it?
For sure. And I think it can be a really confusing place because, you know, as much as we've got some amazing role models in the space that are doing what works well for them and isn't potentially influencing someone in the wrong way, it also might not work for you. And that's totally fine. I think it's recognizing that, like you've just said, you know, everyone's different. How we digest food, it's all different. We all have different preferences. We all have different likes. But I think that willingness to try is really important. And then when I started to actually feel better and, you know, focus on my most of my carbs being around my training, my God, like the enjoyment that I got from actually being able to walk out of a session and go, I'm not on death's door here. Okay, yeah, I've challenged myself, but I've actually hit targets that I've never hit before. And that's come from the most basic of thing, which is just fueling better. So yeah, definitely try and pinpoint where potentially you could fill the gaps within your fueling, and making sure that it is fitting the demands of your training, because once you have, you know, paired that together, the difference it makes is next to none.
Yeah, 100%. And then and it's that whole thing of like, you're putting the effort in to do the sessions, and you've signed up to these races that cost so much with, like, you know, the entry, the travel, things like that. And it's something so, I'm going to say small, but I know it's a big issue, is as fueling. Like, you know, that's not like putting your mind through a tempo or a threshold session on a treadmill for an hour. Like literally, you just might need to take a little bit more fuel, and that threshold session could feel like night and day. And I think like the other day, hey, we had a client who was training with us, and like we do a lot of training remotely and online, and she wasn't fueling enough, and she said she used to like cry during some of the threshold sessions, just like it is so hard. She started fueling better, and that's become her focus now, because she's recognized maybe she was under fueling. And she said she did a threshold session the other day and she was just buzzing. And I think it's probably one of the best messages like we've ever had, because it is literally just, it wasn't that she wasn't capable of the threshold session, it was just the fact she wasn't fueling for that session to give her body what it needed to hit the numbers. And then she did it and she felt great. And it's like, yeah, you can do it, it's just your body was under fuel.
And it's great to see clients actually put two and two together and actually
and work it out themselves.
As well, like the amount of women that I have come to me now, and I'm getting more women for performance training, which is really exciting, but that are coming in and under eating and setting these amazing goals, which are so achievable, but are going to feel so much harder by under eating and under fueling, that we just need to bridge that gap. And of course it takes time. It can feel scary to eat more, because you think, oh, I'll eat more, I'll gain weight, but it's just not the case. It's not the case at all.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then what about your like coming Hyrox season? Are you going down the solo route after the mixed doubles in, did you say Birmingham?
Yes, I've got Birmingham in 4 weeks' time as a mixed doubles. So it's a bit of a, I mean, it's a hard one, because I've been on the tickets every single time. I'm there, guys, I'm there. The time has been set and I've got it in my basket so many times and it's gone. So it's been a bit of a whirlwind the last couple of weeks trying to get some tickets. But I've got Madrid Solo Pro at the end of November. I've got a secret one in London, which I can't announce just yet, but I am there in some form, and then I'm hoping to get a solo Manchester one as well, if they do a new release at the moment. And then my mum's thrown a spanner in the works and said she wants to do Toulouse in March, which is amazing, because she hasn't ran in 3 years, but she's always been a woman who's been involved within sport or fitness, and so she wants to do something because she's turning 64. She'll probably hate me saying that, but yeah, she's turned 64. So yeah, we'll be running in circles for her birthday.
Oh, that's so good. That is so cool. And I mean, you said at the beginning of the podcast that you were born in Dubai.
Yes.
And we didn't realize that actually. We all met in Manchester, didn't we, at
Yeah,
one of
we
Lucy
did.
Davis's Gymshark events. And it was I think we were in a four together with your boyfriend
Yeah.
Alex as well. And we were like, God, she is fast, because you were like rapid. You were such a good, we were like, we have got such a good team. And then we were out in Dubai and you were like, oh, I'm coming home. And I was so confused because you're in Liverpool right now, aren't you?
Yeah, so I've been based in Liverpool for the last, it'll be, God, nearly 5 years now. But born and brought up in Dubai till I was just turned 18, schooled throughout there, and then went to Loughborough University for 3 years before coming to Liverpool. So yeah, it's still a place that I consider to be home, or one of my homes. And I love going back, just not in the summer. Just not in the summer, as you guys now know.
Yeah, we've experienced it now. And but I was going with that was that your mum, when you raced in Sharjah, she came out to watch, didn't she? Because your mum and dad still live out here.
Yeah.
So she been training through the summer?
Well, what she wants, she's always been into, like, she's always doing her strength training. She's now into her Pilates and doing all of that, but she's not ran for the last 3 years or so, just because I think through impacts on her knees. But she's basically put it out there that she wants to start training for it. So if I'm going to hold anyone accountable, it's going to be my mum.
Now you've said it.
There's enough gyms out here, isn't there? And there's some
I know.
amazing places to run. So yeah,
Brilliant.
fingers crossed. That's awesome. You'll have to come out for a hot weather training camp over the winter.
I know. So I'm thinking in, I know it won't be too hot, but I'm thinking in February for like the first 3 weeks, when it's a bit grim in the UK, get out and come see everyone. So yeah, definitely we'll get some training sessions in. We'll have to plan it.
Yeah, love that. And then for your solo races, you're racing pro. Is that right? Yeah. And how did you kind of find the switch from, did you start off doing open and then move to pro? And do you have any kind of advice for people if they are thinking about like moving up in the weights?
Yeah, I think so. I started off at open because, again, it was all very new to me, having just done a doubles, but I thought I do want to see what I can do. So I went to Copenhagen a couple of years back with my mum as well. I feel like she's been part of this whole journey.
Brilliant.
Good old
so
Karen.
Good
old Karen's been here from day one. So we went to Copenhagen and I was racing against a girl who was sponsored by On, who was an amazing runner, and she carried me essentially through that. I managed to win an age group and place third overall, but I was being carried by her in terms of the running, but on the stations I was then getting ahead. And it was kind of one of those things where I was putting two and two together thinking, I need to be a good runner, but I also need to be strong, and they need to be in harmony to be able to progress into that pro category. So it kind of highlighted a few points for me that I needed to get a little bit stronger. So I went into a bit of like a building phase and managed to start training beyond those pro weights. And I think that was a really good starting point, where not fearing lifting heavier, but doing it gradually, and also challenging in your sessions to lift heavier than on the actual day itself, because then you go into those events already knowing that you're capable of doing that little bit more. I wouldn't fear it. I wouldn't say it's like so extreme in terms of from open to pro. It definitely is a step up, and it definitely is a challenge. But I think if you've got the right planning in place, where you give yourself enough time to actually go through a building phase and then start to build a little bit more endurance back in, you're more than capable of taking that step up. And I think if you're wanting to now, challenge the competitiveness of getting to worlds, it is a starting point, and you have to be able to obviously enter that category, which I think is a good thing. I think it is distinguishing between, your pros and your elites and people that just want to do it as everyday athletes. But yeah, I would say get hold of a coach if you feel like you don't know where to start, and get some plan in place and some structure, because although random workouts are better than nothing at all, having an actual phase and the periodization to a plan is really important. That's how we're going to progress, and giving yourself enough time to actually enjoy the journey of seeing those strength gains improve, and being able to pair it with some faster running splits as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I think you made a good point there, just talking about your open race, where you kind of were like hanging on to the other girl and the athlete. Like, it's a good tactic, technique,
Oh,
I don't know. It's a good
bring
thing to
someone
use.
down.
Yeah, because I think it can really help. Sometimes like races can be lonely and you're out there on your own. If you can try and see someone else in your wave that's maybe similar ability and you are doing a bit of cat and mouse, like hold on to that and try and help use it.
Very much so. I think if you can find that friendly competitive edge, which me and this girl did, and I remember sending her a message straight after saying like, thank you so much for like allowing me to run a better race, because I thought I wouldn't have ran those splits if she wasn't there. She was a far better runner than me, and I'm more than happy to admit that. But I think you're always better training with people who are better than you or competing with people who are better than you. They will always push you to probably hit splits that you never thought that you could. And it's just by having, without this sounding bad, like having a target to actually run towards, or to spot, or think, do you know what, if they're 10 ahead of me in the lunges, I've got to make this up maybe on my runs by X amount. So it just gives you those targets, because like you say, in a solo race it can get lonely. You've got a full crowd around you, but you're very much within your own thoughts, and you can hear yourself breathing, and you think, oh my God, this is a lot. It's also consuming. So I think if you can kind of quieten your mind and have something to focus on, it really, really does help. But yeah, training with people, that's another point that I would say. If you can go and get into a group environment, whether that's like your local class or your local hybrid or Hyrox gym, where you've got a bunch of animals and athletes who are in there who are going to push you to your limits, I would encourage it more than ever. I think it's important to have your solo time where you can kind of focus and grind, but definitely having that social element, I think, helps with the longevity of a journey as well.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I was gonna, it's a good point to like move on to, but I was gonna touch on your run club, because you started a run club as well, haven't you? And there's a lot of run clubs coming up, and a lot of people are getting involved. Like running is having a boom at the moment, but it's such a huge part of Hyrox, and for any hybrid athlete that wants to go and enter any event, if they were part of a run club, I guess it's just a good way to be like ready for anything, or to improve your running with other people and maybe learn a little bit. I mean,
definitely.
how's your run club going?
Yeah, I feel like run club's like the new clubbing. I feel like it's
yeah,
I feel like it's the new thing. But no, I actually started because of my coaching, like 9% of my coaching being probably online. It was another social thing for me, and another opportunity to meet new people. And the good thing about a run club is everyone's in a different boat. Everyone's there for a different reason, whether that's just to be able to get up in the morning and go for that run, and they need that accountability, whether they are training for an actual event and they just need to be able to tick off the mileage, or you know, it's meeting new people. And I think when you can merge all of that in one, it's beautiful. I absolutely love it. Tuesdays are one of my favorite mornings of the week, and it's amazing to see people progress over the last, God, how long we've been doing this for, since March. You know, people who are coming in initially hitting like say a 6-minute kilometer split and now running 450s, and you're like, that's purely through consistency of showing up and having a group which are supporting them, and it's lovely, and I'm glad to be a part of it. So I think if you are struggling with the running aspect and running is new to you, like we've just touched base on, that can be really lonely. That can be really hard to kind of find that enjoyment. It's always going to be hard from the get-go. Anyone that says it's going to be easy is lying to you. It is going to be hard, but you can make it a much more enjoyable experience by doing it with others. So yeah, I very much encourage you to look within your local communities and see what's available.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I see you like end with coffee as well, to make it like a good social event. I mean, if you just do the run so you can finish with the coffee and just have the coffee at the end, that's like sometimes just a nice thing to get round, isn't it? Especially with the British weather sometimes. But
100%.
yeah, it is cool to see so many run clubs coming up. And I think before, I mean, I think back like 5 years ago, and if you wanted to join a run club, it was kind of like a club that's like club runners, all in vests. Everyone's really serious. People are talking about paces and times, and you're like, I haven't got a clue like what my kilometer pace is, or how I run 5K or 10K. And I think now it's got so much more inclusive, and there's a lot more people learning about running, but in quite a safe way, like a safe environment.
Definitely. And it's not like you say, it's not like we're all heading down to an athletics track and we're having to run 400-meter repeats on the track. It's not like that. I think if you can kind of keep it as basic as it is, from getting from A to B and back and having your coffee afterwards. And if you each week can try and challenge to progress in some way, whether that is, you know, we're looking to move outside your comfort zone and speak to a different person, or whether that is increase your running splits by a second, you know, minimal change, I think leads to something big over time, doesn't it? And I think if you're focusing on the small consistent and small changes and the consistency of that, that's when you know, get 6 months down the line and you don't even recognize how much improvement you've actually made. And it's important to look back, like every time we sit down after a run, we tend to like reflect and go, oh, how did everyone feel about that run? Like, did you like the running route? And it starts to spark off other conversations. And one of the guys that I actually run it with, who's the owner of the gym, he ran his first sub 25 5 kilometers the other day, and he was like, 30 minutes plus, you know, a couple of months back. And those, they're huge margins. Someone said to me, like, I could drop 5 minutes off my 5 kilometer run time, I'd be screaming about it. So I think there's so many wins to reflect and look on, but I think people carry you, and that's why community is so important.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So what if anyone listening lives in Liverpool? Where do they, what's it called? Where do they go?
Hardy's Run Club, and we're based at Hardy's Kitchen on Renshaw Street in town.
Okay, perfect. I mean, we might be there one day, but
you're always welcome.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Like, it would be cool to go and do it.
Yeah, definitely. And then I wanted to ask a bit about like dealing with race emotions, and like I think following your Instagram, and also we like saw you in Hyrox Sharjah, and I know that you have a flag behind you, so you did actually take the win for age group, but it wasn't the race that you'd hoped for. And like, could you talk to us a little bit about kind of dealing with the ups and downs of whether it's Hyrox or whether it's half marathons, 5Ks, anything, but like just the journey of the highs and lows?
Yeah, I think, oh my God, it is a journey for sure. Like, there's been so many races that I thought I was so well prepared for, and I was, but the execution didn't happen. And there's other races that put less pressure on myself, and it was actually more enjoyable. So I think the first place that I'd start is, as long as you have prepared and you've done the work and you know that you've put in the hours and the changes, and you worked with a coach, or you've made the changes that you want to focus on, that you're not as good as, and you know, you've challenged that, you can go into these races and go, I'm just going to give it my all. And I think being a competitive person doesn't help, and it does help at the same time. It not forces you, it encourages you to make sure you are doing your best. But I think sometimes that pressure can be at the expense of actually enjoying the process. So I think during the time that you're training for something, whether that's 12 weeks, 14 weeks, a good couple of months, find enjoyment through it, because you don't want to do all this work and get to the day and it just feel like you want it to be over and done with. And I've been there, and I think you guys have seen me lose my head a few times, where I just feel like that's kind of been sucked out of it. So I think, if anything, go into your training trying to find enjoyment, find people that you can train with, and you'll get to the day and probably feel a little bit more relaxed. I think in terms of like your pre-race, I think if you can find something that works for you, whether that's like a ritual, or whether that's something like, the night before you always have the same food, you get laid out, you get excited about it, and you're again playing into that enjoyment side of things, I think you will be able to execute a little bit better. But ultimately, you've paid to be there. You've paid to actually, go and run around in circles. When you do keep it quite simple, it removes the pressure. And I think this is something I'm definitely taking into this next season, is like, I've made a decision to go and run, and I've made a decision to go and compete with thousands of other people. We're all in different boats. And I think if you can kind of dumb it down, I actually do think you will execute a lot better. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but I think pressure can just be quite crippling sometimes, and it only seems to be us that puts it on ourselves. Karen isn't doing it, my dad isn't doing it, no one's doing it. So I think when you can have a word with yourself and go, Georgie, are you actually enjoying this? Are you actually finding enjoyment from the journey? And if I'm saying no, that's when I probably need to take a step back and have a little bit of a reassessment.
Yeah, no, it's like, I think everyone's kind of hard on themselves, aren't they? That's the thing. Like, when you are a competitive person and you do, like, I think everyone that's kind of training and entering a race, like, people want to compete to a certain level and they want to do well. That's why we all do it. But I think, yeah, like, we've seen a few things flying around recently. I mean, we put a post up after speaking to Katie, and then I saw Camilla Massa put a post up about, like, not kind of letting the race result define you, and I think it is important, like you say, to enjoy that process, because it's one race and, like, anything can happen. Like,
oh, and I think as well, if you've not got the time that you didn't want, and I've been there where I've completed a race and I thought, I really thought that I was going to get a minute faster or 2 minutes faster, you've still completed something that is going to contribute a lot towards your journey. It's still a learning point. It's a lesson learned. You can still have that opportunity to reflect and go, what actually went wrong or what went well? And that's what I do with my clients every single week. You know, what were the wins? What were the struggles? And I think we can stop doing that for ourselves. And it's really important that we actually do stop and reflect and learn and how we can grow. But yeah, I think don't get too caught up on the time, because all you're doing is comparing that time to somebody else's, and it's always you v you, which is the really important part. You're only against your own clock. Okay, so as much as, like, you can be inspired by other people and be, you know, encouraged to challenge that time, I think if you're constantly comparing, that's where it sucks the fun out of it as well. And also being really, really honest with your setup. So for example, everyone has different lifestyle commitments, everyone has different resources, everyone has different time frames that they've got available to put into training. So if you're comparing your journey to, like, an elite 15, that's probably where you're going wrong from the start. Like, look at actually what you're capable of doing, and what you've got access to, and then let's set some realistic and achievable goals from there. It's always important to dream and dream big, but not comparing to people who potentially have more time and access to training.
Yeah, and that is such an important point. I mean, like, yeah, you're working full time. People have got kids. Some people haven't got kids. Like, some people don't work full time. Some people have to, I've got a gym in their garage. Some people have to go to the gym. Like, even just this morning, being in Dubai, we went to go and get on the treadmill, and we had to wait like 15 minutes to even get on the treadmill. And we were going to do a quick strength finisher after, before we went to the Cairo, and we just didn't get to do it. But I think previously maybe I might have got really frustrated at that, because I'd be like, no, I needed to do that run, and then I was going to do this strength piece, and I didn't get to do the strength piece. But this morning I was just like, it's out of my control. There's nothing I can do. It's too hot to run outside. I've got to wait for a treadmill, because apparently you have to be in a queue, which I wasn't in a queue last time, and I got chucked off my treadmill when I got on it. So I've learned now that I don't do my strength piece first and then try and get on a treadmill. But yeah, my point is the fact that sometimes you just have to let things go, and you deal with it a lot better. And it's the consistency, and like you said, just like controlling what you can control and being happy with that, depending on what you have got going on in your life. Because you look at Instagram, but no one's the same. Like, no one has the same. I know we all have the same 24 hours, but everyone's got different things to fit in that 24 hours and different pressures.
For sure. And I think it's important that, you know, you do take a moment of pause to kind of rationalize the situation and go, okay, well, what have they got access to that I potentially haven't? And if you want to make a change and you can see that there's an opportunity, that's not a bad thing to look at and go, well, actually, if I do want to get there, maybe I've got to sacrifice something else, or maybe I've got to open a new door to be able to find that opportunity, and it can encourage you positively in that way. But I think, looking at, if you go back to sort of the races and the outcome of races, you look at the Elite 15, everyone's been through setbacks, everyone's potentially had an injury through their journey that actually might stop them for a whole season. That doesn't mean that your journey or career is over. I think it's just, putting it on pause a little bit and kind of reassessing, okay, how can we now rebuild, rather than kind of staying where you are and letting yourself sit there for too long. I think it's important to, feel your feelings, have a cry. I always do. I have a cry and then move on.
Yeah. But also like just accept it as well. Like let it be. Like be like, oh, it was a shit race. Like
Yeah.
I've had a few shit races and you're like, oh, that was shit. But that doesn't mean that every race is going to be shit and you
No,
have to
not at
throw
all.
the towel in and you're like, well, I'm never going to do this again, even though you might say it straight away afterwards.
For sure.
Like
Like I had London Pro, and I was it was December last year, and I was actually really unwell. I don't even know what I had, but I had like I had a chest infection, was on antibiotics. I paid my ticket and I thought I'm going to go down, I'll give it a good go. And then I knew it was never going to be great, but I wanted it to be great.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't know what I was going in with, the idea that it was ever going to be anything other than rubbish. And then finished it. And Alex was like, you've done so well. And I was like, Alex, don't even tell me that I've done well. I have not done well. But anyway, it was part of the journey. And if I'd let, you know, an illness or that outcome stop me, I wouldn't be here and I wouldn't be challenging a new season. I then went into Manchester in the January, ran a great pro race for me, and I was over the moon, absolutely over the moon. And then you're on a high, and then you know, then you have a mid race, and then you think it's just up and down. There's waves, and you've got to ride them. And I think get excited for the rubbish and get excited for the good as well, and actually just be accepting of the fact that it's going to come back around.
Yeah, it's so good. I mean, I love that you still obviously went into the race thinking you were gonna fly.
I was like, yeah, surely maybe a 75-minute one. Yeah,
we all do though,
yeah.
don't we? I don't know
Yeah.
why. We all do. It's so funny.
You're like, oh, just get past the rower and then I'll feel great. It's like, it's just the first bit of the race. I always feel shit in the first bit of the race, and then when it doesn't change, you're like, oh, this is still hurting.
I'm looking at Alex and he's like majorly concerned.
And then I'm going a bit full circle here, but I meant to ask earlier when talking about hybrid and trying everything and doing everything. I saw you took on the muscle up challenge, I don't know, but like I was gonna ask about like learning new skills and kind of, I guess you were putting yourself out your comfort zone a little bit, like going down that route, and like just a bit about that.
For sure. I think so. My friend Sid, she does a lot of CrossFit stuff, and she's been running as well. She's just done a marathon, but she always goes to her local CrossFit gym because that's like her community. And again, just kind of going back to that pull with a community. If you found your people and you found that space, you kind of always want to go back. So she encouraged me to come along, just like I would with anyone with like a run club. So I was like, yeah, why not? Let's do it. Humbled, absolutely humbled. As soon as I walked in, even just trying to do like a 10 kg snatch with the bar, I'm thinking, I felt like a baby with like all these limbs. I just didn't even know what was going on. But it was great, again, to learn something from the beginning, be a novice in it, and actually have to, you know, really open my ears and listen. It wasn't as easy as just, okay, let's shift my body weight on a sled and try and push it. CrossFit is, it's a whole different ball game, and I commend anyone who is snatching a shit ton of weight over their head, because it was amazing. But I think not being scared to challenge it, and putting trust in the people who are guiding you, that, you know, if they say, actually, do you know what, drop the weight, you don't need to be lifting that, don't see it as something where you go, oh my god, like I should be able to lift that weight. You shouldn't. You don't know what you're doing, and it's quite enjoyable to kind of have a blank canvas and build from there. So I think there's always good in challenging other principles of training, because you can transfer it over into your training, whether you thought it's highlighted a weakness that potentially you might be able to challenge and grow on within your Hyrox career, or an imbalance that you think, oh, actually maybe that would be better if I improved upon that for my running. So there's loads that I think definitely go and have a range of training. And if you're new to just actually health and fitness, or, you know, challenging your health and fitness journey, go and try a load of sport out. Don't just focus on the gym. I think this is a really important thing. The gym can be a little bit daunting. It also can be quite boring, to be honest, to start. It can also be like, well, what am I doing? Am I just lifting this weight? Like, there's not a lot of enjoyment because you haven't found a reason to go there yet. So I think if you're going and meeting other communities, or there's, you know, run clubs, or like a sport or paddle or something like that that's local to you, go and try it out and find a reason to go and train, and then it will encourage you to find your why. And then again, then you're actually probably more confident to go and do a random session here and there. So yeah, I definitely think go and challenge other things, be humbled, definitely be humbled. It's a good position to be in. And I'm definitely going back. I'm going back for some more.
It really, I think when I saw it, it just really resonated with me, and I was like, yeah, like, I don't know, maybe you said something about long limbs, or I don't know, and I was just like,
Oh
yeah,
my
I
God.
feel like you are me right now, like, so I was like, I have to ask.
It was the funniest thing as well, because we had like these we're on the boxes, and he was just getting us to kind of like kip, so get over the bar, and I just could not connect with my body. And I remember saying, and the guy was looking at me like, who is this girl? And I was basically just went, I think it's the box. And I was like, I actually can't believe that's just come out of my mouth. It's definitely me that's the issue.
But you're like, why can't, when someone's trying to teach you something, and if you're like slightly doing something different and you just can't connect it and you can't see it, sometimes it's quite good to like be able to see what you're doing. So you're like, what am I doing? But yeah, you're like, what? Why can't I do this? And especially if you have been like a sporty kid growing up and you pick stuff up quite quickly, you're like, what? I just want to be able to do it, and I can't understand why I can't do it. And you
know, and it was, and again, kind of going back to a little bit around body image, like the vast range of women that go to CrossFit who can throw themselves above this bar, and I'm thinking, it really does not matter how tall you are, what you weigh, what you look like if you're strong as hell to be able to do that, and it's impressive. And I think that's something exciting. And I was just going, I want to do that. I want to be able to do that. Like that's cool. So I think if you can get excited by performance, and you can get excited by like how strong you can be, or how skillful you can be, I think that's a good place to run with.
Yeah, so true, isn't it? Like, and then you think like, you don't like walk down the street or watch a video and you're like, oh, that girl weighs this, I just want to be like her. No. You watch a girl do a muscle up, or like do a crazy snatch, or run a fast race, and that's like the inspiring thing. Like, no one cares whether you weigh this or whether you weigh that, but everyone like focuses on that. But like, some girl does like 7 muscle ups strung together in front of like a few guys that are like, what the fuck is she doing? Where's she come from?
I know, it's wild.
And you're like,
I say to my clients all the time, because I've got those lifestyle clients as well, and there's always a place there. And I think, if someone's coming to me to lose weight, they're looking to get into a healthier body, and that's I will always encourage that. But when there's a focus on this number, I always say it's the least interesting thing about you. I've never ever, even when I was going through an eating disorder, I've never introduced myself and gone, hi, my name's Georgie and I weigh X amount, because it's so like, who cares? Like, it's so like irrelevant. It's got nothing to do with your abilities, how you value yourself. So I think the more I would go, hi, my name's Georgie and I can do 1 muscle up, I would do that.
Yeah. And then the next time you meet, you're like, oh, by the way, I can string 3 together now. So just saying. And I encourage anyone that can do a muscle up to introduce themselves like that, by the way.
So good. Oh, but yeah, no, I think it's such a good message, and when I saw it on your Instagram, I loved it, so I felt like I had to bring that up. But what about then focusing, like, I've gone a bit back and forward here, but like as a female, like training, like with your cycle and racing when it might fall, and anything kind of female specific that you maybe do for like your body, or you would encourage clients to do with that kind of thing?
So funnily enough, I've never not done a race without being on my period. I've only ever raced when it's that time of the month. So I actually don't know anything different. I do suffer quite a bit with my cycle, and it's something that I'm trying to kind of go through that discovery journey of understanding how I can support that a lot more. So I've gone to like an endometriosis specialist. I'm in that position where testing a few things out. But in terms of my now last two and a bit years of competing whilst being on, I think, again, it's hard to not just take what works for someone and apply it to you, because our bodies are so different, and how we react to our cycle is very different. But I think it's important in the name of stay in balance to actually listen to your body. So if your body is telling you that you need to rest, please adapt. So whether that is, it doesn't always have to be nothing. And I think people see resting as like, okay, I'm just going to sit here and do nothing at all. Rest can be actually quite practical. It could be, you know, self-care of running yourself a bath, or it could be actually making yourself a meal where you've got a little bit more carbohydrates in there because your body is actually working a little bit harder over this course of the month. So I think it's understanding what your body needs and being as in tune as you possibly can with that. If you have certain rituals that work for you, I mean, a hot water bottle is my best friend throughout the time of the month. It's little things like taking that along with you just in case, like, so you can make sure that you get a good night's sleep. Sleep is my absolute superpower, especially during the time of the month where I am going through a menstrual cycle. I need more rest. I need more time to go into that restorative state and actually recover, to be able to go and give energy back into my sessions. I also think it's important to not hyper focus on, say, a 24-hour or even just a 7-day period. As much as it's important to look at patterns in behavior, if you're putting the work in and you are consistently showing up and your training is, you know, not random and there's structure to it, if you need to take a step back in whatever shape or form that is for a 7-day period because you are going, you know, you're going through something traumatic, you're going through a bleed, that's absolutely fine. That isn't you taking a step back, and it won't even have that much of a dent in your outcome. And I think what we love to do is hyper focus on the detail of a 24-hour period. Your body, as much as it's complex and it is smart, it's not smart enough to know like what's happened really in a 24-hour period. So if you need to take that time to sort of step back, then I would actually encourage it, because you're probably going to then just stay afloat and then be able to continue to take a step forward rather than potentially burn out or risk injury because your body's not in the right state or frame to do it. Now, in terms of the mental side of things, I think this is what I suffer with a lot more, is around that time of the month, kind of doubt as to whether I'm like, oh my God, am I strong enough? Am I even fit enough? My strength goes right down. Okay. And I think if I can get in a position now where I know that, I'm more accepting of the fact that I'm just going to give whatever 100% is that day. And that 100% might look a little bit different to last week. 100% last week might have been me hitting 4-kilometer split times with ease. This week, a 4:30 might feel like a 10 out of 10 and I'm gassed after 2. So I think the more that you can be in tune with that, and also give yourself a little bit of a grace period that our strength might dip, our speed might dip, it's not that big of a deal. It's not that big of a deal. And I think, like we have just said previously with like the outcome of our event, you know, the time, okay, sit with it, then move on, sit with it, then move on. Like you've got to just keep going, because it's going to come back around in a month's time, and it's going to come quick. So I think the more that you can kind of be accepting of that, and know your body well, the better. Now, in terms of fueling, I don't do too much different. I like rest days for me, I still feel the same as a training day. And that's just how my body works better. I don't like cut calories on a day where I'm not moving. My body needs that. That's the time where it's restoring and it's resting and we're refueling. So I think, but if your body does require a little bit more carbohydrates, or your body is craving a little bit more volume of food, give into that in a way where like it's focusing on whole foods, and it's not necessarily, okay, we now need to just go eat a bunch of sweets and chocolate. A little bit of chocolate goes a long way, but if you just need to increase your portion sizes that week and you're as an outcome going to feel better for it, then do that. But it's a bit of trial and error and testing things out.
Yeah. I think it's like, you know, when you were just like talking about the threshold sessions, or saying like someday, you know, some weeks you're doing it, you're hitting 4K splits and you're feeling great, and you're like, oh, that was a great session, felt fine. Or like, and then you're during your phase where you literally are like struggling to hit like 4:35, say for you, or whatever your splits are, like a minute slower, and it feels like 10 out of 10. And I think the for me, like it resonates so much, because I think people are talking about it, so you realize it's not just you. Because I think before, and we're lucky because we train together a lot and we know each other so well, and that we're like, God, like you're just having a bad day, or you're just in that phase of your cycle, don't worry about it, just do it next week. And you almost need that voice of reason. But I feel like maybe back like 10-15 years ago, or when I was at uni, when you're doing that and you just don't know why, but nobody's telling you why, and the information wasn't out there, that you just couldn't quite understand like why you got so shit. And you just felt like, well, I'm just shit
totally.
now. I'm just like, why am I so shit this week?
For sure. I think it's encouraged so much more. I think in general, lots of things are encouraged a lot more to be discussed and spoken about. And I think it still probably is in a lot of places like a bit more of a taboo subject. But I think being a coach as well and understanding how to program for clients and if they need any sort of adaptations also helps with that, because you know, as much as we like to say, and I would like to say, chase the boys and try and be like the boys, like we are biologically different. We need differences, and I think that's why we just can't compare. But I think the more that you could actually speak to your partner as well about these things, it makes life a lot easier. Like I speak to Alex about where I am in my cycle, and he knows if I've sent him a text going, oh my God, I'm so shit, why have I not been able to hit that? He's going, well, it's probably nearly the time of the month, George. And I'm going, oh yeah, like I should probably know that by now. But it's like you say, you need that kind of voice of reason. Yeah. Having that support system very much helps. So like whether that is your partner or a coach to kind of guide and get through those lulls, because you'll always get through them, but it's kind of those coping mechanisms the next time it comes back around that are going to make life a lot easier.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the importance of acceptance as well. I think sometimes we can all be like, I don't know, we just want to be fine. We're like, no, it's fine. It doesn't affect me. I'm fine. Like that's kind of our go-to, like, no, I should be able to do it. It doesn't matter. But actually, if you just accept it and think, oh, well, everyone else is going through it as well. We're all in the same boat here. And as much as like we would all love to be performing and doing the same splits every week and just improving, it's just not the way it goes. So like to accept that and know that you're not alone is like a really good point.
For sure. And sometimes I think we love to be able to make sense of things, and sometimes we can't. Sometimes we actually can't. We might just feel a certain way, and you've got to accept that. You might have fueled well. You might, you know, if you go through your sort of process of elimination, go, did I sleep? Have I drank my water? Have I taken my supplements? Have I eaten enough? Am I like all those things? Am I reducing stress? Am I happy? Like, yeah, if I'm ticking all those boxes, but I still feel a certain way. That's the hardest bit, because then you think, oh my God, what's wrong? What's wrong with me? But it's difficult to sit with. But I think the more that you can kind of just be accepting of the fact that it will pass, and you know, the good's temporary, the bad's temporary, it all comes back around is important. But I think the more that you can speak about it as well, the better. Even if, like you say, that's with your partner, your friends, do your own research, because again, for me, I'm trying to make sense of my cycle at the moment. I knew that there was something wrong there. Like I wasn't willing to normalize certain things. So I also would encourage anyone that's going through a cycle and it does feel abnormal to potentially go and speak to someone as well.
Yes, that's such a great piece of advice. And I think just females now just getting to know their body, like not just taking it for granted. I think just literally trying to learn more about you and what works for you is probably the biggest message out there, like that I think people can work with, because we are all individuals. We're so different to guys. As much as you, like you said, you want to race the boys and do it. And when you're at school, or I've got a little brother and I used to always try and beat him. And then I'm like, he's just getting into running now. And I'm like, doesn't even run. And he's like running really fast. But I'm like, well, he's just he's a guy, isn't he? Like guys just seem to like pick it up and just go, and like without trying to have this sibling rivalry of it's part crazy. Of me still like, I can't let him beat me in a race, but like I know it's gonna happen. I'm always like, don't get too into your running, because you'll be way faster.
I do that with like, Alex will do a run. He did a random 5k the other week, and he was like, yeah, I hit like a 20:04 and I was hitting like a 3:57 and then a 4, and I'm going, God, kids not run for like 2 months. If I went and did that, I was like, I feel like it's just crazy. They just get up and go, and like they're just ready. They're ready for hitting the sub-20s.
Oh man.
I know. Well, this probably brings me nicely to our closing question, unless I've missed anything, Faye, and you had any.
No, I think it's been really good.
I've done
really
well.
Cool. Go on. Well. Yeah, you've done well.
She's not sneaking in an extra question.
I always could, but
So the final question for you is, what message or advice would you give to your younger self or the next generation of girls coming up?
Yeah, I think if I was to take it as like the next generation, because there's a lot of advice that I've given to my younger self, I think, having gone through what I have and overcome. But if I was to make it a little bit more broader, I think I'd encourage all girls to get into sport as a like a baseline sort of statement. I think it encourages you to look far beyond just how you look and yourself, and you'll find your people. I think I found a lot of my friends in my circle, and that's only still a small circle, but they are people that I really relate to and share a lot with, who support me far beyond just how I look as Georgie. And I think that's what I love, is they're so supporting of the fact that I go and do a Hyrox or a random half marathon or an ultra here and there, because it's who I am, and it's become a lot more of my identity. So I think I'd encourage girls for sure to get into a sport. And if you're not finding that enjoyment in a school situation, then definitely go further afield, because there's so many amazing like athletic clubs or sports clubs. And I think in terms of really basic form, look at what your body can do. And I know I rinse and repeat this so much, but it's so much more enjoyable and so much more encouraging, and there's so much more longevity if you can look at your body and what it is capable of, rather than breaking it down to fit certain stereotypes or fit a number on the scales that is forever fluctuating through the month, by the way. So it's never ever going to be the same. And I think that in itself is is like something to not try and chase. And again, it's little things like even just those non-scale victories that, you know, you don't even want to look at with like clothes. You could walk into one store and be whatever size, you pick up the exact same piece of clothing, the next time be another. Stop looking at the numbers and find your enjoyment, find your people within your sport, and actually look at what your body can do, because that's where I found the most peace, I think. And I know that can last with me for like years to come, which is really exciting, no matter kind of what chapter I'm in, whether that is, you know, a family in the future, I can still go and challenge, you know, a sport or what my body can do. And that's definitely something that when that chapter happens, I will definitely be encouraging my kids to go and focus on. Boys and girls, by the way.
Definitely. I think as well with this kind of with society now, like even just you saying there about, you know, like we went to Zara like a few weeks ago and I bought a pair of jeans that are size 8 and a size 12, and like they both fit me. Like it's ridiculous, but I'm not bothered, like, because I like the jeans. It makes no difference to me. But like I worry for like younger girls that are trying to be a size whatever or be a certain fit, and then they go and then they try on a like pair of jeans and then they're panicking because they can't fit into them, so that means something. And I think like it's so important to get that message out there and to really like focus on what your body can do and not what it looks like or what size it is, and for people to learn that like that is so normal. And like you say, you probably weigh an extra 3 kilos at a certain time in your cycle or whatever it is. Like it's I think it's such an important message to get out.
For sure. And I think it's kind of what even doesn't, like, you know, when you say things are, you've got like a size 8 jeans and size 12 jeans, we look at that as so black and white, as that's good and that's bad. And it's I think we've got to kind of start changing our language and changing our script, or an internal script, our external script around those things. And it's the same when it comes to coaching. It's like, you know, everyone goes, that's good food, that's bad food. No, it's not. There's nutritionally dense food, there's calorie dense food, and it's just food. Okay. And I think we love to complicate it, but it's hard because over the years, you know, there's been these rules or there's been these messages that have been put out in society. And I think if I could encourage anyone in the younger generation is to kind of not take everything so literally, and do your own research. Look at actually, do you even what are you trying to pair with that number? Like, what is the value or the meaning that you're trying to pair with it, and why? Because it's come from somewhere, whether that's, you know, your mum, whether that is, you know, friends or family members who have said things in the past, and kind of we need to unlearn. And that takes a lot of time because it's been ingrained in us for years and years and years. But I think if you can kind of write your own script and write your own narrative and your reasons for doing these things, you're going to be a far happier person than comparing yourself or comparing a number on some jeans, because it's short-lived anyway. It's not something that brings much joy. You'll forget about the jeans in 2 weeks' time and it will be the next thing. So I think if you can just continue to focus on being progressive in ways that aren't just changing in terms of your body fat percentage or on the scales, like, you're going to be a far happier person. And I think I can vouch for that, because I know that I am.
Yeah, no, exactly. And you're talking from experience, and it's great. I mean, it's not like you go and wear your jeans inside out so everyone can see they're size 8, is it? Like, if you now went and put those size 12 jeans on and those size 8 jeans on, I wouldn't know which one's a size 12 or which one's a size 8 unless you wore them inside out. So you're not going to go and do that. So who gives a damn? Like, yeah.
It's funny because, I mean, I've spoken to, and I think unfortunately, lots of women within the fitness industry have gone through, and not everyone's journey is the same by any means, but have gone through a similar journey of whether that was looking to shrink themselves previously to be seen in whatever capacity. And now it's a case of, you know, we weigh 10 kg, 15 kg heavier. We're actually more capable than ever, more confident than ever. I feel better in clothes. I actually feel more confident in my own skin. And if you told me that 8 years ago that I weighed X more on the scales, it would have thrown me massively. But I think that's where, you know, progressions don't come from focusing on that. You need to actually put that to one side and focus on other things, and it quietens all the things that actually don't serve you. So yeah, I would just continue to focus on what you're capable of, challenge yourself outside your comfort zone, because that's how we find change. And, you know, get the ticket, because it's allowed me to go and find a career within Hyrox, or at least challenge a career within Hyrox. So yeah, there's always something around the corner when you kind of say yes to something that might be out your comfort zone.
Yeah. I think that's a cool message as well, isn't it? Like, just be ready for it and say yes. Like, you've lost nothing by saying yes. Yeah, what's the worst that can happen?
Exactly. I mean, I've signed up to the Ultra, the Red On Ultra in May.
Yes.
And I've said yes now. And then it was one of those things that on my 28th birthday, I was like, do you know what? That's a really good birthday present for me. I'm gonna sign up.
I'm gonna enjoy that so much.
Like, are you sure about that? And I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna be this yes person. And, you know, if I hit 50k, if I hit 10k, and it's whatever it is, at least I've gone and done it. So
yeah, exactly. Sure. And like, it's the same thing, isn't it? You meet people along the way. Like, we'd never have met if we didn't all go say yes to an event, and then if we didn't say yes to another event and meeting up and going for a run and doing yoga on the beach. Like, you just got to say yes, and then you meet people, and then like-minded people as well. And it builds a positive circle around you of people that are,
for sure. And there's no harm in also, I think, saying yes to something and going, actually, do you know what? Not for me. Like that's not for me, and that's okay. Like, the amount of times that I've thought, oh, do you know what? I'm going to go and do that because my friend's doing it, and then actually I've made a decision. That's not for me anymore. I don't fancy doing it, or, you know, if it feels like it's moving too far away from actually my core beliefs or within health and fitness and sport, like I just won't invest time in it. But I'll definitely at least try. So
try it, yeah. It's like when you like food, isn't it? Like, try everything once. If you don't like it, you don't have to eat it again. But at least try it so you know what it tastes like. Like, it's.
Try it, and then we'll all introduce ourselves as, hi, I'm Emma, and I can do a muscle up. That'll be the new thing.
That's going to be my next Instagram post.
yeah. Start a trend.
Around here. Hi.
Yeah, so good.
But where can everyone follow your journey, watch you take on the Red On Ultra in May and Hyrox, or find out about coaching? Tell us everything.
So my name is Georgie Bullock, but I'm Stay Balanced with G on Instagram and TikTok. And if you go onto my Instagram page, in my link tree, you will find all coaching inquiry forms and everything on there to do with coaching. So Instagram's probably the main one. I have got Stay Balanced with G and then Stay Balanced with G.coaching, but it's all linked within the bio. So if you ever need any help, or just like want to go through something that is challenging you, my messages and my inbox are always open.
Amazing. And we will link everything in the notes as well, so you can find Georgie easily. Well, thank you so much. This is amazing.
Great. I've had a good morning.
No,
what a day. What a way to kick off a Monday.
Yeah, it's been a really
so much.
Oh no, thanks. It's been a really positive episode, and I'm sure everyone has enjoyed listening. So thank you.
Thank you.